You make your voice because
I'm with Pam and the peace builders. Yes, I need a piece. We're here today to bear witness to the Coley family, and this is a weird way of gathering. You know, it's what I realized recently is that this is like an anti-peace. Like it goes completely against everything that we know and how we move in the world. You know, it is not how people talk. You know, in a world that places whiteness and emphasizes whiteness, and we all have to conform to that. You know, this is a very strange way of gathering, but there's something very natural about it, right? So the Moran Center, I'm going to have Pam, you know, explain, you know, further because I tend to skip out things with the Moran Center. The Moran Center is an organization that's been here for a number of years now. We do a number of things. You know, we do. A lot of people know us through, legal representation, right? Through, you know, for young people, families, and that kind of thing, and education, criminal, you know, everywhere. And our social work, you know, our programs, you know, most people are familiar with that. The Restorative program is something that binds all of it together, you know, and puts it all together, and says that the most important thing is community, right? You know, community is the thing that we need to build in order for all of us to be safe. It's not enough to always be reacting, right, to crimes. You know, we can create a better world, you know, a better environment. So this program in itself, Pam will explain what this grant is, but I want to explain what we're looking at, you know, so that they can, you know, go in. We have here, this was donated to the Moran Center for this circle, for these circles, for these kind of environments, and we have been taking it with us wherever we go and wherever we travel in terms of when we have these circles. And it's a beautiful piece to look at, you know, I mean, the quotes are gorgeous, but it's really nice thing to just like really gaze, you know, eyes on it as you try and focus and listen, just something to place your eyes. In the middle of it is a bowl with dirt. I'm from South Africa originally. The dirt at the bottom is the white dirt, it's from Israel, which is where I go for pilgrimage, for religious purposes. And then the dirt in the middle is from my mother's house in South Africa, in our backyard. I took it one time when I was back home, and I stuck it in my bag and I came home with it. And I feel like what we're talking about here, we're talking about land, we're talking about belonging, you know, we're talking about, you know, that many times where a people tried to establish and actually thrived, but it was totally taken apart, you know, and there are many times that has happened. So this dirt sort of represented that, you know, I was hoping that it'd be something that would ground us and keep us together. Jazz is going to explain that in a restorative circle, you know, there are a number of things, a number of guidelines, and one of the guidelines is the use of a talking stick. What this does is that, as she will explain, is that a talking stick is a great equalizer. In a restorative circle, whoever has it is the one that's speaking, and you pass it, and then who the next person, you know, that's the person that's speaking, and we're all paying attention, and we're radically listening to that person. You know, that's one of the can really describe it. This kind of listening that happens here. My talking stick is made of two things. These are people that mattered probably so much to me as an immigrant in America. This was an apple, like a little apple that my wife's auntie Judy, used to have on her desk at the school where she taught in the Chicago public schools on the west side. And she had it on her desk for years, and when she retired, she brought it home. She passed away. I took it. This cane was her husband, Mr. Land. Land passed away a few years after Judy passed away. And this is a cane that he used until he died. So I took these and I fused them together. The reason why they're so important to me is that they're the first people to make me feel welcomed in this country. When I say welcome, I mean like embrace, you know, where I feel like I belong here, you know, where they wanted me to belong there, you know, and her house was grandma's house to me in this country. It meant everything to me and my family and my son, and we miss that a lot, you know, but we're thankful for, you know, just having that time to speak with her. So I'm gonna pass my talking stick to Ms. Holmes, right? And then they're gonna take it from here and I will stop.
I'm going to pass it to Pam so she can explain about the grants.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we are here as part of, we got some funding from Healing Illinois to enable us to compensate folks. And it's really important that for those of you who are telling your truth, and you notice we say truth and not stories, right? Because this is your truth. This is the truth of our town. And so the grant enables us to compensate people, not in any way that reparations or anything, but that honors, right? And that's a whole other circle, that's a whole other conversation. But in the spirit of acknowledging your truth was stolen once, we're not gonna steal it again, right? And that's the spirit. And so this is the 9th, our final circle. I may be counting wrong, it could be 10th, it could be 8th. But this is for now, for this, where we learned, we started with 3 generations of Ms. Holmes' family, and now I love that we're completing with your family. And everywhere in between. And we're here to document these truths, and they'll be filmed and made available not only to you all, but if you give permission, they'll be stored and available for educational purposes, for political purposes, for whatever, at the Shorefront Legacy Center, where Evanston's history is alive and well. And so we're really privileged. And so,
Thank you. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the circle. And I'm going to sort of pick up on where Emery left off. I always ask if we can use this talking stick. We all have talking pieces. As we are the troop builders for the Moran Center. We are elders, and then we have the younger people. So today, I'm the elder, and Jasmine is the younger, so we will be co-facilitating together. And as I said, I always ask him if I can use his, because when he first told his story about it, it reminded me of bringing in our ancestors. And I think that when we begin to tell our truths and go back in our lives in terms of when we grew up, our grandparents, our family, we're bringing our ancestors in. And I think that that is a good thing. That's one thing that I have learned from the circle. I enjoy that because I think they do join us in terms of when we begin to tell our stories or tell our truths about how it was when we grew up. So we're creating a space for your family to not only reflect on your growing up in this community of Evanston, but really just to give you a chance to talk about your experiences in terms of growing up here, what it meant, what you learned from it. And as we go through the process, hopefully we'll learn some new stuff. We'll be able to share with one another. And we just want to have a community space for the Coley family. And there's many parts of the Coley family, and I know that because I know a little bit about your family. And we want to pull all those parts in terms of how they connect. And a piece that Pam left off is that this will be stored at Shorefront. And the piece that is important is that your children's children can go back and listen to your story, because it will be there, it will be documented. We have lost so much of our history, so much of who we are. Every time I'm doing the circle, I'm thinking, oh God, I wish I had done this with my mom, my dad, my grandparents. It would have been so important. Pieces I remember, pieces I don't remember, in terms of that. So it's a valuable piece, and I hope that you will enjoy it as much as I think that we enjoyed listening and hearing your story. And I'm going to pass it to Jasmine, who will take us through the first part.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Ms. Delore. So I am Jasmine. I am going to share the guidelines, which is around the quill. Pretty sure you guys picked it up. So we are here to offer each other what we receive from each other. We honor the talking piece, as Emmerich went over briefly. We offer radical listening for understanding, not response. We practice radical honesty, speak from your heart. We honor confidentiality, and sharing is voluntary. You may pass. Grace, grace, grace. So each one of you were asked to be in this circle, and we are deeply grateful for your presence. Thank you for being here. So can you please share your name, your role in the community, and what are you bringing into this circle? What is most pressing or urgent to you as you enter? So I will start since I have the talking piece. So my name is Jasmine. My role in the community, I am a peace builder with the Moran Center. I also work at Connection for the Homeless as a case manager. What brought me into this circle is learning about Ms. Coley's truth and hearing her stories. I work side by side with Ms. Coley, so I really want to learn more about her. So that's what I'm here in the circle, and I am co-facilitating it. So thank you for having me.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm Pam, and I'm from Evanston, ETHS, class of '84, which I feel is very important, and, you know, public schools. And my whole family is here. And I was a journalist for a long time, and I spent a long time doing investigating wrongful convictions, so people who were innocent in prison, and teaching young people, law students and college students, how to investigate and unravel wrongful convictions. And I found restorative justice to be kind of the opposite end of wrongful convictions, right? I mean, it's the worst of the worst, and then restorative is, I think, the answer. And so just like Ms. Holmes says, I'm so committed, and which brings me to what is most pressing for me right now. I'm thinking about the summer, and I'm thinking about our children, and I'm thinking about ways in which we can stay connected and reconnect with each other and with kids and keep them safe, and ask them how to keep them safe, and really send their wisdom about what they know and what they need, and that the Moran Center is here, and we're all community members, right? They're all our kids.
I'm Janet Alexander Davis, and I was born and raised here in Evanston 81 years ago. I'm here today because I've known Eva many, many years ago, and Chris, knew Chris when he was a young boy, really before that. And so really wanted to be here today just to listen and be a part of like history that you don't get because you may not see people all the time, you know, and where they've been. And I know she had left town and moved to California and came back. So I'm just glad to be here to hear all of that. I am a Moran board member for more than 15 years. I'm also part of the Peace Builders in Training and in Restorative Justice. This is such an interesting concept and a way for us to really hear each other in a depth that we normally don't. I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'm waiting to say what I'm going to say rather than really hear the person. And I think if we really heard each other, if we were really honest with each other, and we were non-judgmental of each other, there's no judgment here today at all. I think we certainly could benefit more and would be less violent as we are in this country today, and with each other and our families and other places. I'm here because I'm really sad about this country. I've always been black. I've always lived because I'm different, because I have brown skin, no matter my intelligence or what I may give and give back. And so I'm very concerned, and it feels good to be a part of truth telling as we've gone through this process and listened to other people. Some I've known for years, but I didn't know as much. And that's why even intergenerational, where families will hear what another person's opinion was. They had no idea the person felt the way that you did. But it's not one that I'm mad at you because you said that. It's just, that's your truth. So I'm just glad to be here.
I'm Chris Coley. I'm Eva's son. I'm Marilyn's husband, and I am a grandfather of 3, a father of 3, and I've been in Evanston for 64 years. I'm a friend of John for probably 60 years. So he knows me very well too. But I am here today to tell my truths. When I was 3 years old, my natural mother passed. Her name was Mary Coley. And I didn't remember her a lot, but I've been blessed that my father remarried, and his name is John Coley, and he married my mother, Eva. And that's the blessing right there, because she took me in as someone, loved me. And I made a statement on her birthday that she probably loved me more than I loved her. And I say that because she didn't have to love me, but it's unconditional. And I just want to express, you can't outlove me more than I love you, the way you love me. I've been thinking about that ever since, because I know it threw you off, because you didn't understand what I meant. But I'm explaining it to you now about what it truly meant when I said that. And I thank God for my wife, because I've not been the best person in my life. I've done some horrible things, and she's given me chance after chance and forgiven me, because God forgives. She gave me the way God forgave me. So I'm thankful for that. And come from a big family. I have quite a few uncles and aunties that basically helped raise me as well. And I used to spend every summer in Alabama from probably 5 or 6 years old to 13 with my grandparents and my great-grandmother, Mama Ella, and Granddaddy and Pete. And I used to love being down there every summer. I made many friends. To this day, I still have them friendships. And that's how I spent most of my summers until I came back as a teenager and spent the summers here. And we moved from Evanston to Chicago. I moved back after my mom and dad got divorced. I was between the two, and then he remarried, and so I was all over the place. And that's how I knew Miss Holmes.
Well, Miss Holmes known you since before you were born.
And I've been hearing that from people all my life. I knew you.
Because Mary Jones
Yes.
called you your mom, and I lived across the street from each other as we grew up.
See, so and I learned stuff every day. You're gonna learn something new every day. And I really appreciate everybody that knew me, and my mother, and my family. And I remember my Uncle David Jones used to put me in the back of or put me on the sled in the winter and take me by my other grandmother's house, Odessa Henderson, my grandmother Margaret's mother, and stop over there, say hi, and continue on across the bridge over to a place called the White House. and bring me on back home, 1925 gray, and fry up some potatoes, the best potatoes I ever had in my life. I still try to make those potatoes just like that. But that's just a part of my history. There's a lot more but I'm going to pass this walking, talking stick to my wife.
Yes, hi, my name is Marilyn, and like you said, I've been dating Chris. I met him in high school through John, sophomore year. So we've been together, been married for 38, going on 39, because my son did the calculations, thinking I had him first before I was married. I said, no, I was just pregnant. So, yeah, and it's so funny, he did it at 6. I'm like, how are you trying to ask me this stuff? So I'm a longtime Everstonian too, born and raised, went through the school system here. Grew up on the other side with Chief Logan on Canal Banks. Grew up very in a religious setting, so a lot of times people don't know who I am because I'm like, well, unless you went to church, that's the only way you knew me. So and nobody really went to our church. I grew up on the church that's right over here on Dodge, just not too far from here, Apostolic Faith. And pardon me? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was our pastor. Yeah, Elder Ingram. And so I knew them too. So they're the ones who knew me too, and whoever went to the church at that time. This is something interesting and new to me. It's something, I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been a nurse for over, I think almost 40 years, or maybe 41. I lost count after 35 or something. Now I just say I'm a nurse, and I'm looking forward to maybe retiring one day. I'm going less and less days, trying to ease my way into it. But when Mom asked me to do this, I didn't know what it was. So, whatever information that I could divulge to you guys, I would give it to you. I'm very short on words. This is making me feel comfortable now. If I had to stand up in front of a whole bunch of people, I wouldn't be saying nothing. So, and they know that because at the church here, they very seldomly have me do something because I'm like, look, I don't like talking in front of people. So, but that's one thing I did have my kids do, the ones that went to school, college, take a public speaking course so you could feel comfortable in your own skin when you have to present yourself. I've been knowing Eva since I was 15 also, so we're all growing up together. We was all young, now we all getting old together. Oh, okay. So, like I said, I'm interested, and maybe I might want to join it too. So, but here you go, Mom.
Okay, so as everybody knows, I'm Eva Coley. I was born in Evanston, but then I left. I was raised by foster parents. I came back to Evanston when I got out of high school, got married, raised my kids, and just been in the community. I'm also a peace builder. I've been doing it 2 years now. Oh. So I'm a peace builder. I've been doing it about 2 years.
He wants to clip it on, or if you clip it on.
No. I also have a lot of other functions in the community. I have a lot of experience out of Evanston. Has to do with growing up Black. So at first I resisted doing my family because I was like, they really might not want to do it, or I don't know if they feel like they had any experiences that would relate to this kind of circle. But since I asked them, we've kind of had some discussions, so it's been really, really interesting. And I think hearing our truths, all three of us, it's going to be different for me. I've been in all the circles and learned a lot, so it'll be interesting what I come out with when we're through. And I'm gonna pass to John.
I'm John, and I was born in Chicago, raised in Evanston, went through the Evanston school system. Chrissy, and we met a long time ago. And yes, I did introduce them to each other. And it happened by accident. I was like, well, she don't really like me. So she saw Chris, she said, what's that do with the apple and the big lips? So I introduced them, and the rest is history. They've been together ever since. We used to call them Ozzie and Harriet. I know you won't remember that. But I'm a coach bus driver, but taken off for about a year. I had some health issues, and I don't really know if I want to do that anymore. Time to tell. And I'm a member of this church. I've been here since I was a shorty. And one thing about that, when my parents were alive, if you came up with an excuse good enough to get out of going to church on Sunday, the rest of your week was shot. You wasn't going outside to play. You wasn't watching TV. None of that was going on. So when my mom passed away, my mom here, she said, I'm your mama now, nothing you can do about it. You know how feisty she can be sometimes, so I had to accept that, and she has lived true to form. And I love her because she scolds me all the time about different things. We won't bring that up, but she's a very busy person. We always tell her to slow down, but I don't think she can. And that's probably what's good for her. So do what you do. That's about all I got.
Thank you very much. My name is Emerick Masbuko. I was not born in Evanston. I was born in South Africa. I live here now, married with a kid. My son is at Evanston Township. Been married for almost 23 years now. And we lived here in Evanston, like she was born and raised here, but we lived here ever since our kid was born. We lived in Chicago before. And then we moved here, before he was born. But one of the things that I noticed about Evanston when she would tell me, my wife was one of those people that had yearbooks. And she had all her yearbooks, and I would look through her yearbooks and I would see every time, like in memoriam, I would see like all these black kids, just like young, black male, every once in a while you find, somebody from different gender or different race. But it was like all of them, and I would like ask her experience of Evanston, the Evanstonness or whatever, and I'm like, well, what about this? This is weird, and so I was always confused, about like which city Evanston was until I started working in the community, and then I understood it, because a lot of things are, oppression is oppression, right? And who recognizes what they say. Oppression is oppression no matter where we are. There's certain things, it feels a certain way, and it's very familiar to us, unfortunately. So that's how I got to know Evanston, is just like through the difficult things, the real Evanston, and I kind of like being there. I like that space because I feel like that's reality, and it's true. It's what's actually happening, and today coming into the circle here, I am sitting with, some of those things that we all in this circle, all the black people in the circle, I'm sure, maybe you too can, I don't know. We have the same stories, like my uncle, he's diabetic, and his leg cut, he lost his wife, and then he lost his son last year, and then he lost his daughter, and it's like, different levels of suffering, and we have the stories, and you have the stories similar to that in life, and yet we walk around, and we can be in the world and still, hey, how you doing, and volunteering in all different ways. I find it fascinating, and I find it incredible that we're able to do that. It's upsetting but I found it amazing that we're able to do that. And yes, I think that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
My name is Annie Rose Bates. And unlike you all, I did not know Eva until she came to the senior club. And one day she came in and she was crying, and I went over to her and hugged her and prayed with her. I didn't know what was wrong at the time, but then she told me she was going through this cancer, whatever. And she has been my friend ever since. I love Eva. And she asked me about this, and I said, sure, I want to come. And then I forgot all about it today. And she called me, and I was in the car with my son, Michael. He remembers everything. He said, Mom, aren't you going? And I said, no, that's okay. He said, yes, you're going. I'm taking you right now. So I'm glad I came. And Chris, I hear so much about you. My son. I have grown to like your cooking. I even asked her, was you cooking for the Senior of the Year?
Yeah.
And she said, no, I want my family to sit with me. So I said, okay. But anyway, I'm enjoying this, and I wish I could join this group. So I love it.
Well, I'm Dolores, and I'm in this circle because I am a peace builder, but I'm in this circle because Eva is my friend as well, and I kept encouraging her. Yeah, do your family, Eva. I said, oh, they'll like it. I keep telling them when it's painless. And it's painless because you get a chance to say things maybe you never ever got a chance to say. And, and feel good about it and learn some new stuff about each other. You'll be surprised. You may learn some stuff about each other that you didn't know. I'm going a little backwards today only because I'm having pain in my shoulder, pain in my knee, and I forgot. But I wanted to, as I took the talking stick from Emory, because I love that. I also stole bits and pieces from Janet. And bits and pieces seems to me to be the theme for our truth telling. It really does, because it's a poem, and I hope you enjoy it. But listen to the words. Bits and pieces, bits and pieces. People important to you, people unimportant to you, cross your life. Touch it with love and carelessness and move on. There are people who leave you and you feel relieved and wonder why you ever encountered them. And there are people who leave you and you breathe a sigh of remorse and wonder why they had to go away and leave such a gaping hole. Children leave parents, friends leave friends, acquaintances move on. People change homes, people grow apart, enemies hate and move on, friends love and move on. You think on the many who have moved into lazy memories. You look on those present and wonder. I believe in God's master plan in lives. He moves people in and out of each other's lives and leave his mark on the other. You find you are made up of bits and pieces, and all who have touched your life, you are more because of it, and you would be less if they had not touched you. Pray God that you accept the bits and pieces in humility and wonder, and never question, and never forget bits and pieces. I love it. And because of the times right now, most people know I'm a political junkie. Hello. And I got this for Eva. I dream a world by Langston Hughes.
You did what?
I dream a world by Langston Hughes. I dream a world where man no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth, and peace its path adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, no artifice brights our day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth, and every man is free. Where righteousness will hang its head, and joy like a pearl attend the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream my world. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching the debate tonight. Because I have to dream that world. We have to all dream that world, but hope it's gonna be better. So now, let's get to the stories. I'm gonna start by asking you a series of questions. They all come together, so listen, I have to repeat. We wanna know when you and your family got to Evanston, how they got here, if you remember that. And gonna tell us, were you born here? Tell us a little bit about your family, your family members. Do you have siblings? Did you grow up in a 1 or 2 parent household? And do you have any memories from your childhood that you'd like to share? And then you'll tell us about your family. Also, once did you grow up in that? Tell us what you about your school, work, and experiences within the community, based upon whatever, in terms of your environment. Now, I'm happy to repeat anything. So let's start with you, Eva. Pascal.
So I was born in Evanston, and I don't remember this, but I've been told that I used to go to sleep in a dresser drawer. Yeah, my family was like crazy, kind of, sort of. My family were alcoholics. So when I was 3, I entered a foster home, and that's where I stayed till I was grown. You know, I left Evanston when I was really young, and I went to work. I grew up in Morgan Park with a foster mother, and basically that wasn't bad. You know, the things that I always remember about being a foster child was Providence Hospital. Okay, well, next to Providence Hospital was a state hospital, and if you were a foster child, that's where you went. And so I used to always hate to go there. You only went once a year, because as a foster child, they only examine you once a year unless you got sick. But you go there and you could see how a lot of the foster parents took the money and didn't do anything for the kids. In a way, I was very lucky. My mom was, if you think I'm old school, my mom was real old school. My mom cussed and beat your butt. You know, but not only that, the neighborhood beat your butt. So I went to high school. I went to Morgan Park High School. When I went to Morgan Park High School, black kids only went in from one side. You went in the front, you could not go out the back. That was not allowed. And every year we would have a race riot. You know, I went to school when teachers dressed in suits and ties. I think how I first got started in community, being an activist or whatever you want to call me, was there used to be this big time white family in the school. There was, you know how you have generations of them, football players, on school council and all of that. Well, I got to be real good friends with one of them. And I used to be a student aide, and I remember we were in the office, we worked together, and we were really, really friendly. I don't remember exactly how it started, but we were wrestling or something in the garbage can. There was nothing, and we turned over a garbage can and it reverberated all the way to the school almost. So I got called on the carpet, and they were going to suspend me, but his family saved me. And then right after that is when they decided that they wanted to have this group that worked on preventing a race riot at the end of the school year. So my penance was I had to work on that group, but I loved it. So that's what got me started. Other than that, my school was school. I was tracked because I wasn't going to college. You know, back in those days, they didn't prepare you with college prep courses. So, but I did fooling. But I didn't fool until after I growed up. So when I left Morgan Park, I came here, and I met his father, and got married and got divorced. We went to Chicago, and then I came back to Evanston, and then I got appointed to the Evanston Human Relations Commission with Albert Gaskin, the real estate guy. I think he was I don't know if he was the president, I can't really remember.
Ben Williams was the staff person at that time.
Okay, okay, so, and I stayed on that till I went to California. Before that, I also ran for office in Uptown. That's right, I forgot. I ran for office in Uptown against Mayor Daley's team. And I said I would never run for office again because you had to go to bars, you had to shake hands, you had to talk to people you didn't really want to talk to, and all of that. And I still have all the newspaper articles from all of that. And I lost by 900 votes against Mayor Daley's team. But I said never, ever again. But that was a lie, because I've run for office for various things since then. So, segue, I was here, my mom got sick, I had to go to California. I stayed in California 29 years. When I went to California, I absolutely hated it, because I was used to getting up in the morning and the sun was out. Or I would get up in the morning and it was warm outside. When I first went to California, the sun came out at 2 and it went in at 4 and it was cold. But eventually I got used to it and got involved in the community again. And then this lady saw me. I don't know how I got this, but I was a judge for, you talk about learning how to speak. What was that? They used to have an organization that, I can't think of the name of it, but I used to judge people when they gave speeches and whatnot. And some lady asked me, did I want to be a Delta? And I said, what is that? I had no idea. And well, you see that changed too. So by getting involved with Delta, I got involved with community. I was, just one thing after another. Been fighting for the rights of people for I don't know how long. And it seems like you're fighting the same battles over and over and over again. But my attitude is you can't give up. I will threaten anybody that tells me they're not going to vote. You don't want to hear it. Chris heard me the other day fussing at. Remember when I was fussing about Bernard?
Oh, yeah.
I'm really passionate about the community, and I'm passionate about doing right. And I'm passionate about my people. I wish I could get my people to understand that we could do better if we work together.
Right.
What else? I guess I'm just, somebody asked me the other day, why do you do what you do? I just do what I do. I don't know if I really think about it, but I will tell you I'm thinking about slowing down, because I'm meeting myself coming and going lately. But I just believe that everybody is equal. And I will always try to fight for that right. And I guess I carry that over in the senior club too. So I guess I carry it anywhere I go. And I'm also very hard. People will tell you, my great grandkids will say, Gigi, ooh, but I am what I am, and I'm passionate about whatever I do, and I try to keep my word. And I love my family very, very much.
Well, we know that.
I try not to bug them a lot, but I think I have the best relationship for a mother-in-law with my daughter-in-law. I don't think there's been one or more times in the whole time they've been married that we've ever been mad at one another. You know, she doesn't share my passion for all the work I do, all the community stuff I do, but I keep trying. I got her on my hospitality committee. I keep trying. I'm not going to do it. I guess that says it all.
Yes, did you have siblings?
Woo. Okay, siblings.
Say this is over 6.
I had, yes,
Short and sweet.
all together between half and real 9. Okay, I have a sister, and what's left is, I have a sister in Oklahoma. I have a sister in Linwood who has cancer. I have a brother in Oakland. And I have a brother in Oklahoma,
England.
a sister and a brother in Oklahoma, a brother in Oakland, and a sister in Linwood. I used to have a sister that lived right down the street.
What about a brother in
Dee Dee.
England?
Huh?
What about Skippy?
Skippy, I have a brother that's in England. He's been in England, 40, 50 years.
Wow.
Yes. And a lot of people here know him because he went to school, like Charlene Johnson know him. He left here and went in the Air Force and never came back. Never came back. He married a lady from Scotland. And I have never been over there. My granddaughter went over there and stayed in his house. So, yeah. Dee Dee lived down the street. She passed away several years ago. I had another sister named Joanne. She's a Francel knows, so all the Francel knows in Evanston are kin to me. The Blackwells, if they're still here in Evanston, they're kin to me. The Lions, the Strongs, you know, so a huge family. So I think that's it. And then him, yeah, I adopted him. He was always, when they were growing up, if Chris wasn't at his house, he was at Chris's house. And yeah, when his mom and I used to be real good friends, even when I moved to California. So yeah, so I have adopted him. Yes, I do give him a hard time. But it's all in love. And I think, have I answered all your questions? Okay, I'm gonna pass this to, who gets it next?
Okay. So, from what I seen on my birth certificate. Oh,
Do you know how your original family got to Evanston, or do you know?
So, my grandmother used to live on Church Street, McCain. She was McCain, and I think the McCains came from Georgia. In fact, I know for a fact they came from Georgia because when I lived here before, we had a family reunion club, and it was a big family reunion club. And because we had cousins that was trying to go with cousins, and so we needed, to have a club. And we did. In fact, I have a relative named Justin that was on the dollar bill, the first dollar bill in the South, So one of the last things that the family reunion club, when I moved, the family reunion club disbanded, but one of the last trips that I planned for them was to go to Georgia to trace the roots of our family. So they came from Georgia, and like I say, I had one prominent person that I knew of that was on the dollar bill, so I come from her.
That's right.
you like Eddie Murphy, who was coming to America, waiting on the money. Like I was started to say, I know from my birth certificate, when my dad had passed, and I seen my infant photograph that I lived with my mom's sister. Well, we all lived together. And the thing about it is, my mom and her sister, she had 9, and my mom had 8. And I don't know how we all lived in that little bitty house. Well, it was a big house, but it was just so many of us. But they were originally from Casita, Georgia. My uncle and my mom's, one of her oldest sisters, moved here to Evanston first. And they got established, and then everybody followed them. My grandparents also followed them, And my uncle to this day still lives in the house that were his parents' house. I lived there when my dad passed and I saw my infant photograph. But I always have memories of the house that I grew up in, which I thought we always lived there. And we lived like on McDaniel on the canal banks, 939 McDaniel. I do have a big family. Like I said, there's 4 girls and 4 boys. My oldest sister passed in 21, and she died from kidney disease. Trying to think of all the questions you had said.
We talked about your siblings.
Okay.
Do you have any memories growing up?
Oh yeah, because the most memorable that I have, I know we had walked around the corner from the house and got lost. And my mother was frantic going to the neighbor's house. Have you seen like 5 little kids? And we were right on the corner of Lee Street and Fowler, and we didn't know where we were. So, and she's like, never leave off the property. So, to this day, I mean, we just never left. We always stayed in front. Growing up in Evanston, we did have, when the community I grew up in was a white community, but slowly it got integrated to having more and more black. The family that lived across the alley from us, they were the Brzezinskis. There was 9 of them, but the girls couldn't play with us. And when we did move over there, they had set my dad's garage on fire. And the oldest boys came and put it out. And then they told my dad somebody, and then they wrote nigga on the garage. Get out. We did have 2 doors down. My best friend, she was a white girl. And I knew the dad didn't kind of like us. The mother was sweet as pie. But the dad, we kind of kept the distance. You know, we didn't want to round him up. I think he was Irish because he was always red. Red with red hair, so. And probably drunk a lot too. But I'm trying to think what else the questions. I don't know if you want us to go in depth about the racism. Because we, going to school here, I always had a black teacher. I had a kindergarten teacher. I had my first grade teacher. Me and my 7th grade teacher, we did not click. We fought every day. And I'm like, I didn't know I'm so embarrassed because I need to apologize to her if I ever met her in my life again. I just instantly, we just didn't like each other. My 6th grade teacher, he was my first black male. Mr. Ellis, he died not too long ago. He was educator in District 65. He taught at Chu School. And so I always had black representation. I didn't feel a whole lot of racism. I know you could tell when somebody didn't like you, so you just kind of stayed out, you know, you avoided them. I think growing up, because I went to Washington School where it was a lot more white than black at the time in the 60s. And we walked, and then all of a sudden they got the bus system, and they were telling us to get on this bus. And we were like, no, we ain't getting on the bus, we walked to school. And we walked, I know because you had to be there, I think at 9 o'clock. So we walked, and then we came home for lunch, and then walked back to school, and then I think we got out at 3:15 and walked home. So we were always walking. Pardon me? We went to Washington. And then we went to Chu.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, like, I don't even remember in the wintertime, because my mom didn't drive. You know, she had all these little kids, we was hand holding. I'm like, I really want to see a picture of that, because we was all like either 2 years apart, or me and my other brother underneath me, we're 15 months. So I know I had went to live with my aunt, because she's like, I got 2 babies in diapers. And I got trained really quick because I had to get out of bed because somebody else was coming in. Yeah. And we laugh about it to this day because cousins that we grew up, the first family that moved to Evanston, my mom and her sister that has the 9, some of us are like in the same within a year. I'm like, what was y'all doing having a competition? You know, who had the most babies? She was pregnant, my mother was pregnant. It was crazy. We just noticed as we got older, it's like, wait a minute, we the same age. You know? So, like I said, and then growing up in a religious home, you know, it was like John says, you know, if you didn't go to church on Sunday, you was through. So you better just go for them 4 hours, go to Sunday school, then go to church for 2 hours, and be done, and you can have your freedom for the whole week. Because after that, you know.
4 hours.
Oh yeah, we had Sunday school and we had church. And then growing up, it's so funny, living in the neighborhood that I'm living now, which was predominantly black, but it has changed now. Off of Emerson on Emerson off of Dodge, by Hovind Court. Yeah, that's where we live. Our house is right there, which they took my parking space in front of my house, which they didn't even tell me they was making a crosswalk for the kids. Oh, now I'm getting riled up. She never gonna get off.
They put a bump out.
They put a bump out so the kids coming from North Evanston can cross the street. I'm like, why couldn't you just do it on the corner? And I didn't even know they was doing this, but you know, because I wasn't proactive. You know, I went to work every day and I didn't pay attention. I had to feed my kids, and being a nurse, I'm like, I did do office nursing, but it was like between 8:30 and 5, and I had to make sure they did their homework, I had to fix food, and I had to make sure they get their bath. And I just never really paid attention to everything that was involved in Evanston. So I don't know if they ever sent a notice to the house or put something up on the tree. But they should have put it on my car, like, you will not be parking here anymore. I would have paid attention. But I think, yeah, that's just my life. That's, like I said, I didn't have a whole bunch. Nobody really never called me a nigger out my name. And like I said, the older I got, though, the more I gravitated to more of my own kind. So I didn't have a lot of white friends anymore, especially by the time I got to high school. I'm going to give it to Mr. Coley.
Well, let's see, starting out, grammar school. Well, before that, I think the Emerson Street Y is where we had like a daycare, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I met a lot of friends, a lot of people there. We used to have to take a nap. And it was pretty disciplined. They made sure that we did what we were supposed to do. Didn't get away with much. And from there, I think I went to Dewey School. Yeah, I went to Dewey School. I think I met John over at Dewey School. And I might have stayed at Dewey School for first and second grade. I think we moved from Lake Street. We were living at 1409 Lake Street. I think we moved to Chicago.
Pittner, remember Pittner?
Was Pittner after Lake Street or before Lake
I think it
Street?
was after Lake Street.
Okay, that's when to Timber Ridge.
Timber Ridge.
That's when I went to Timber Ridge. And that was an experience because I didn't have any white friend until I went to Timber Ridge. And we would have a lunch break. And I think the kid's name was Tom, or I think his name was Tom. But anyway, his mom was so nice. She would have me come over to lunch, come over to his house for lunch. That's when you could go outside the school and go home for lunch. And I never forget it. He had so many games in his room, from the floor to the ceiling in his closet. And I said, man, you got Christmas every day here. And they were just genuine good people. You know, I don't know if I was the first black to be in the house or what, but you know, we never really did maintain a relationship because I think I only went to Timber Ridge for maybe a year and a half, and then we moved to Chicago and ended up going to a school in the city on the north side for I think 4th and 5th grade. And then by that time, I think my mom and dad had got divorced. And so I was kind of going from Evanston, from living in Chicago, going to school at Nichols. I would catch the train, AL. And then somehow or another, I would stay with my dad for a while and lived on Davis Street across from the post office. And let's see, then we were still at Nichols.
What about when you were in the South? Where did you go?
Oh, at the Boys Club.
Across
When I was living in Chicago. I think I was, 1970, I got my first trophy. So I would have been about 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. So I learned how to swim. I was on the swim team. And that's another thing I forgot to talk about. When we were on the swim team, it was mainly black, and I think we had a couple Puerto Ricans on the team from the North Side Boys Club. Well, we went to a boys club, I think in Cicero or somewhere like that, and it was all white swim team. And I had never felt intimidated and threatened by the parents and the way the guys looked at us. But I didn't think they understood that we came to win. And we won. And we won. They didn't know that we could do what we did in the water. And that was, I think, my first real experience. But at the same time, while I was still in the city, me and some of my friends that went to the Burger King a few blocks from the house. We lived in a high rise. So we went to the Burger King, we were walking back, and all of a sudden, flashing lights or a car came flying down the alley at us, and all my buddies took off running. And I didn't know what they were running for, I didn't run. And a white cop jumped out, and he put a silver gun up to my head. I was about 11 years old. And he took me and said we had stole somebody's purse. We snatched the purse, he said. He said, we ain't snatched no purse. He put me in the car and took me to an off-site police outpost and kept questioning me. And he wouldn't let me make a phone call, nothing. But I think it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, you got a call. They finally took me to the police station and let me call my mama. And that was the first time I really felt threatened. You know, I didn't know why. I didn't want to trust them. So I had a bad taste in my mouth. But when I came to Evanston, never had a problem. Never had a problem. And so moving on from there, we moved over on Dewey.
Yeah,
Moved on Dewey. That's when I went to high school.
Yeah.
And
You thought you was grown?
well, it was about that time I started wanting to drive. And my dad had a car for me. And I had to make a decision. My mom said, either you're going to take the car and you got to go, because I don't want you to have a car here. You're too young. You're not responsible. And so I made a bad choice. I took the car and left my mom and my brother, and I ended up living with my dad, thinking I was doing the right thing, but not knowing how I was hurt, how to hurt her. And, you know, some choices you make, you have to live with, and you have to pay for it later. And you have to suffer the consequence for it. So I you know, it bothers me now a lot, thinking about how I did that. But I was young, 15, 16, trying to make grown folks decisions.
Yeah.
And, you know, so now I try to teach my own children, you know, there's more consequences that you have to deal with when you make these decisions, you know. And like I say, I haven't been the best dad or the best husband, but I try to, you know, especially now that I got grandkids, I try to redo these things the best way I can. You know, sometimes you don't get it right the first time. You have to go back and try again. And that's what I've been trying to do. The way I live my life, the way I found my faith back, come to church, and ask God to help me do these things. I know I don't do it right every time. I probably don't say the right things all the time. My wife tells me all the time, you say stuff and I don't even realize I say it. That it hurts. You know, I don't realize it affects her sometimes, but it does.
Just stop cussing.
And I understand.
Well, you go there.
I understand. You know, sometimes you just do things you don't realize you're saying them. So, you know, what comes out of your mouth, sometimes you have to really think about it before you say it. But if you generally have it in your heart right, you don't have to worry about how it comes out your mouth. If you can get your heart right first. So I'm trying to get my heart right. See? And then I think everything else will work its way out. But you know, I truly love my family and my education. I even tried college, and that didn't work out so well. So I ended up going a year and a half, maybe 2, and it really wasn't for me. I had to get into the workforce. So I got into the workforce because I've always known hard work, especially working with Uncle Lewis Jones in landscaping.
Yeah.
You know, so he showed me that. And then my dad always had 2 jobs. And then I would always see John's dad working all the time. You know, so I knew what hard work was. And I experienced it. Because I worked all through high school myself anyway. But when I got into the workforce, I went to the gas company. That was my first major job, good job. And I did that for 13 years until I got fired for drugs. And I lost that job. But it was a blessing in disguise that you know, I've been sober off of drugs for over 20 years. So, you know, I thank God for that. And I was able to maintain a business for almost 30 years now of running a gas company, barbecue grills, fireplaces, installing gas lines. And when I walk into some people's houses, they don't realize it's a black man coming. But when I get finished doing what I'm doing, I got so many repetitive customers. And my mom can attest that she's working with me right now. I don't like to say working for me. I say working with me because she does all my bookwork and all my paperwork and all my accounting and all the tax stuff and everything. So it is a blessing in disguise there that I got both of my sons helping me and a nephew. So, you know, we just continue to just be blessed with that. And I just thank God for it because he didn't have to do it, but he did it anyway. You know, I thank him for his grace and his mercy. You know, every day when I walk out that door every morning, I tell my wife, this knee hurt, Matter of fact, I'm oiling up this knee. I had back surgery in 21, both shoulders. I can't sleep in the bed for 3 hours because the shoulder goes bad. I have to take this arm, bring it over just to get it so I can go to the bathroom, and then reclining chair is the best thing for me. But every morning I get up to go out, I say, you know, my focus is on my grandkids, because now I'm understanding the part of where I got to take them to daycare and to summer camp now, because the son finally got a good job at the city.
Yep.
Thank God. So he got to be at work at 6. So, you know, I'm just watching God work and look at His blessings and grateful who He is in our lives, because He put us in this circle.
Yes.
Today,
Yeah.
we all seeing what He's doing right here, right now. And like you say, these truths are not over. We still got a lot more truths to tell. We still got some more living to do. So, this is just one chapter of it. And it's not over.
It goes to the Lord. Jasmine.
Sit there and listen to me.
I can't listen to it.
I don't want to keep grumbling in my purse.
I can't listen.
The trauma, beginning with the gun to your head at 11 and 12, that stays with you for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And we just have to remember that, and we bury it. So many things we bury that happen in our lives that we don't talk about. And the circle is one way that we can begin to heal some of that. And that's part of restorative that we want to do. And that's why I want to say to people that the circles they may be painful, but they're painless.
Yes.
Because sometimes revisiting is painful, but you'll find that the relief of it, of being able to share it, helps a lot.
Yeah.
Does.
No worries. Thank you for that. So my next question is on discrimination and racism. So thank you, Marilyn, for opening the floor to that. And yes, you can elaborate more. So the next question is, upon coming to Evanston and growing up in Evanston, did you face any discrimination and or racism? And if so, did you face it in the community, the workplace of business? Can you talk about that? What did it feel like? How did you deal with it? And then also, can you compare and contrast what has changed in Evanston? I'm gonna pass it to
Whoever, yeah.
I don't think since I've been in Evanston that I've actually experienced any outright racism. I think I have experienced subtle stuff. When I was in Morgan Park, when I was younger, yes, it was like that was the name of the game. You know where you belong, and you didn't go out of that circle. It's really funny because going back, I have a girlfriend, she lives in Florida. She's white. We've been friends for over 60 years. I met her as I was a brownie, brownie scout, Girl Scout, all of that. I met her at a Girl Scout function at the museum, downtown museum, and we became friends. But I couldn't go to her house, and she didn't come to my house. We used to write letters, and she lived in Roseland, and I lived in Morgan Park. Yeah, so that was a real instance, like when you don't cross that line. I told you about high school. But other than that, I really don't think that I have let some of the subtleties of racism affect me. It just charges me on, it's like, I want to change it. Or, it's like, I tend to ignore if it's blatant. I might not ignore it, but soul stuff, I just ignore it and keep on pushing because it is what it is. One of the reasons I'm really concerned about the world today is I'm just praying that it doesn't change. Because to me, and this could be doomsday, but to me, if things don't turn out in November, black people and brown people need to watch out. They really need to watch out. You didn't pick cotton, that kind of stuff. And I tell people, if we don't do what we need to do, I'm gonna meet you in the cotton fields. And they be looking at me like, you crazy. No, I'm not crazy. It'll get that bad. I really believe that. So I have to have faith and keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna be working hard for people to get out and vote. I think a lot of people say that Evanston is a racist town, there's discrimination, and I believe that. But I also believe that there's ways to deal with that. And you just have to keep fighting it. And unless, it's physical, it might be mental, and so you need to block it out. And unless it's physical, ignore it and keep on and keep pushing, keep your eye on the prize. And I think that's what I try to do. I can compare Evanston from when I came back to the area I love. I'll be honest with you, I don't really see no difference. I don't see no difference. It is what it is. It's the same. It's the same. People handle things differently. Yeah.
So, I didn't tell you my education level. I am a registered nurse. My mother was very mad at me because I got pregnant, getting married and I was pregnant, and I didn't go back to get my degree. I told her one day I will. Well, I'm about ready to retire in a couple of years, and it's not done now. I was like trying to do it online, and my daughter's like, well, why are you doing that? Because you're going to be retiring pretty soon. He's like, you don't need that bill. And I'm like, he's like, is it going to change anything? Are you going to earn? You're not trying to be nobody's boss. I'm like, no. She's like, well, you're still making the way you're doing it. So she's like, don't add an extra expense. And I'm like, you're right. But being in the nursing field, I always call myself the token because I did work on the North Shore. First of all, when I was in nursing school, there was only 3 of us. And it's like 4. And 3 of them were always together. And I was always left on the outside by myself with all them. And it just, that made me feel kind of, I didn't feel good because, I had nobody that I could confide in, nobody, I was always isolated. I really didn't conform and talk to a lot of the nurses there. So I was never friendly, and just when we had breaks and stuff, then I'll get with the clique with the 4 girls, and with the other 3 girls. And so I have learned to adjust. And up to this day, when I started at Evanston Hospital, I was the only one on the floor, but they always treated me with respect. Nobody said anything. I only had one incident as a patient when the patient was like, well, he was the meanest guy ever. He was like Trump or Archie. He just was mad because he was sick and he just didn't like, people. Well, he let it be known, and I let it be known too. I said, if you run into crisis, I'm not going to try to save your life. I'm not going to put my black lips because I don't want you to say it's assault. So I said, I will call my white coworkers to come and save you. Well, at the change of shift, guess what happened? He coded. So I called my white coworkers. Code Blue, come on, let's go. I can't do that. Like, why? I said, he doesn't really like me. Well, actually, he didn't like anybody, but I said he exceptionally didn't like me. And I'm like, I don't want to have assault charges, thrown against me, trying to give chest compressions and breathing. I'm like, oh my God, he probably never live that down. I put my lips on his lips. So I'm like, I'm not even going to attempt to do that. So that's the only, I wouldn't say the only, because then again, when I started with doing office nursing, so I was working, being the only one also then. And then we merged with another, my boss was real cool, because she lived in Evanston. I always took her home when we did nights together. But when we merged with another facility, she's like, who is this Marilyn Coley? And she was so surprised when I was black. I'm like, that's me. And she's like, you're the one that she has all these accolades for? I'm like, yeah, I do my job good, and I do it very well. But she didn't like me either. So we kind of kept our distance, but my boss was still there, and she's like, no, you don't have to worry about her, because you're going to deal with me. You're under my supervision. So, but now that, make a long story short, so now I'm working at a hospital, because we had two mergers. We merged with Northwest, and now Northwest is with North Shore, which is now Endeavor Health. So the surgery center that I was working, which I was the only one, we got along. We was like just cool partners. Even the doctors, we all got along so good. And now that I've been taken on by this other healthcare system, they used to float to where I worked at. And so it was a lot of Filipinos and a couple white ladies, but like I said, nobody black. But we all come to, they're like, you part of us. You one of the team. So that's my work history as being a nurse and dealing with racism. Not a whole lot, but you can feel it. And we got a new manager. I think she's trying to fill me out, because she's like, she's kind of standoffish, but she's trying to be friendly. But, you could tell when somebody's uncomfortable when they talk to you and they go, like, damn, what did I do to you? I mean, I'll work when you want me to work. I mean, my schedule is wishy-washy, so sometimes I have to be there at 6, sometimes I have to be there at 8, and then I'm always tired. Like when mom calls me, she's like, you in the bed? Yes, I am. Or are you getting ready? Yes, I'm getting ready to go to bed, because I just laid down. Been laying down. Now I'm going to get underneath the covers. And I'm going to go to bed for real. So, it's just been, my career has been really a joy, and despite of everything. Oh, and I did forget to say, I did infertility for 10 years, so I was getting people pregnant. I loved it, and they're like, Marilyn, we're pregnant. I'm like, yes, we're pregnant. So I had a lot of babies. So that was, like I said, it's just been a joy, and I've just been a really a good career choice that I made. I may have not been like the boss. I did have one episode where I did it for like 3 months, and I was working with us. And we were worse than working with them, because it was a fight every day. I was out at Mount Sinai. It was a family practice training program for doctors, and that's where they would go have clinic, and they would see people, coming from Mount Sinai, and they would treat them and stuff. And this one lady, I got hired, and then the boss quit. So I was the next one, because the other nurse was an LPN, even though she was there 5 years. She's like, how you get to be in charge? I was like, because I've got the 2 initials, the R and the N. And she was like, and I'm like, but we can share it. I said, you go to school. I said, I'll hold it for you. I said, we could, try to work it out where you could do your practicum and get your work experience. I'm like, we'll do it together. Oh, she wanted it all. I'm like, I'm not trying to take it from you. It's just a given. You just don't have the right alphabet. So I just tried to tell her that, oh gosh, we fought. I mean, Chris is like, he's like, she at you again today. I'm like, she wouldn't do nothing. And the director, he's like, but you have the concept where you could teach these girls. I'm like, yeah, but I can't teach them if everybody is siding with somebody. And I'm like, I don't like to have that division in my workplace. It's hostile. So, yeah, I ended up leaving in 3 months. No, you can have it. And then I found out, now she's got a white girl who ain't giving her no trouble.
You finished?
Yes. Oh, I get revved up. He know I go up and down all the time.
It was about racism in the workplace and
Yeah.
growing up here.
Where you experience it?
Well, I mean, like I say, you know, a lot of times I'll knock on the door, ring the bell, and guess who's coming to dinner? You know? But sometimes you can just tell somebody they don't know if you know what you know, so they're gonna kind of keep an eye on you. You know, I mean, I've even had people tell me, well, you can't come today, maybe tomorrow. You know, so they make up their mind and kind of get comfortable, think about it, I guess. So, but I mean, you know, it works on both sides. I've seen people tell me, you know what, I'm leaving, just lock the door behind you, you know, and I'd say about 98% of my clientele was white or you know, non-black, but because I'm on the North Shore and whatnot. But, and I mean, $1 million, $3 million, $4 million houses. A lot of people famous and whatnot. But, you know, I think once people understand that you're, you know, you're decent and you know, you can, you know, your business, you're on the job doing what you say you're going to do and what you're supposed to do, then they don't pretty much have a problem with you. You know, so I really haven't seen any blatant racism as far as on a day-to-day, everyday basis. You know, I feel very comfortable and confident when I wake up every morning of where I'm going and what I know I have to do. And another lady told me, matter of fact, this afternoon, I think she was like about 90 out in Morton Grove. She was just so happy that I came today. I told her I might come tomorrow because I didn't have a part for her gas light. But I ended up going to a hardware store in Glenview and found it. And I surprised her. I was out there working. She was in her backyard, but her backyard window looks all the way through her house. So she saw me, she came running out, and she was just so happy and came out and just giddy. And, you know, so I was able to get her situated. And then I had another job this morning down at 1503 Oak, a condo right behind the Y. And the lady said, I'm so glad that you're with North Shore Fireplace coming here today. You guys have been great. And she says, yeah, you've been here before. So, you know, so I get, you know, a good day's, you know, I come home, I'm not upset about anything. You know, you got to make it the best you can, you know, with your customers and your clients and the people you meet even in the stores. And my wife tells me all the time, you know everybody at every, you know they at the bank, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
You Mr. Coley's wife. Yeah, so, you know, you just try to make the best of it. You know, you see what goes on every day in the news and all the things that's going on in this world. But, you know, if there's anything I can do to help anybody, I'll try to do it. You know, you see the migrants with the babies, and it's just so sad, you know, because they got the babies running through the gas stations where they almost can get hit. I mean, I'm seeing why they get running through the street in the gas station with cars coming, you know, and going up the cars, have the babies doing it, you know. It's just, you know, it's so sad. You know, you try to help everybody you can, you know. And that's about it.
Okay, as we want to see if there's anything left unsaid that you would like to say. And also, you were born in Evanston? You were born in,
I was born here. Mhm.
Do you think you're an Evanstonian? And what does that mean?
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I think I'm an Everstonian. Like I said, when I was on the west side that time, when I had that distinction, I did try to sound like I was like rough. And because one of the guys asked me, he's one of the gang leaders, and he's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from the north side." And he's like, "Yeah, right." So I tried to sound really tough. So this is the only place that I know is Evanston. I know one thing I did want to add is when we were buying our first home, and I wasn't working, and we had two babies back to back within 2 years. And so I wasn't working because it was just too much on childcare, and I might as well stay home. So I was like, spend all the money just so you could go work to pay somebody else, and you could stay home and raise your kids. And that's what I did. And when we were trying to by the house that we are living in, the bank denied us. And I'm like, we put down, I thought it was substantial, 10 grand. Thought that was a good, but they said that we were gonna be house poor. And I'm thinking, well, you don't know, I'm a nurse. I can work on the weekends when he's off. And so I just didn't do any explanation, so we just chalked that up that we couldn't afford it, which they told us, well, the bank was giving us a loan. And so that was disheartening, but 10 years later, we could have been, we ended up buying it for a lot less. So, but yeah, I do think of myself as an Everstonian. This is the only town that I know of. My parents did move, and after I graduated from high school, they moved to Skokie, which my daddy said he's a Jew. So we moved to Skokie, and so my younger siblings, 5 of them underneath me, is that 5 or 4? Yeah, I'm number 4, so it's 4 of them. Underneath me, they were, they grew up the rest in Skokie.
Are you an Everstonian, Chris?
Yeah, my cousin Richard Jones used to remind me all the time. He walked my grandmother, Frances Jones, and my mother down the alley to community hospital and come in the back door. So, whenever I would see Richard, he would always remind me that I was born right there at community hospital in 1959. And grew up in that area, and the nice thing about the house I live in now, I'm in the same alley that my mother walked down when she was pregnant with me. I can look at that family house right there, 1925 grade, from my backyard. So, it brings back a lot of memories of the barbecues that my Uncle Lewis used to have, and my Uncle Clyde, David, my Aunt Ruth, Aunt Hattie, Cousin Larry, Lyde, and Cousin Johnny Williams, and just a lot of memories from the, when you talk about community, that's when I could name everybody on that block, from the Perrins to the Murrays and the Bacons and the Harts and
Oh yeah, I know.
I mean everybody, the Fords, you know, even Davis is down the other end, and all, you know, just about everybody, but like, you know, you say, when you was coming up as a kid, and even your sister Rosemary's, her and Tillman lived right next door to my grandma's family house. So I had a unique situation because I had McCain's, Joneses, my grandmother, Margaret's family, the Webbs, I had the Thomases was my grandmother's maiden family. So, you know, I was related to everybody, seemed like. You know? And, you know, so I really couldn't get away with that. Everybody knew me. And I don't know, I remember growing up and we were living in the city. And I was riding my bike out here in Evanston, had no business being out here. And so, riding with Norman and Derek. And it was all out here in Evanston, riding around on Saturday. Never forget it. So they ride me back to Chicago, to the building. Gonna go outside, go in the house and play. Well, I get there, my dad opens the door. He was living out here then. He opens the door. Can't have no company. Where you been? You been around here playing? Well, my buddies, they stayed right at the door. And when they seen me that Monday, did you get a whooping? No, I ain't get no whooping. Yeah, doggone lie. You stay right at the door, listen to your ass whoop you. Had no business being out here. But yeah, like I say, you couldn't do nothing wrong with everybody knew me. But yeah, I definitely consider myself Everstonian. And all my kids are still here, except my daughter. She's in Minneapolis. She's a teacher up there. And my boys are here, and all my 3 grandkids are here. So, my dad's down in Montgomery, Alabama. And that's about it. I'm glad my mama came back from California.
So are we.
Absolutely. Are you in the 35th? What does that mean for you at Eva?
So I'm torn with that question. I've been hearing it every time I do a circle. I think I am. I was born here, and true enough, I think I'm an Everstonian because I worked in our community before I left, and since I returned, I have come back to work in the community. So I think I'm one of the unusual type of Everstonians. Let's put it that way.
So, what has been left, has anything been left unsaid? Is there anything that you would like to add?
My favorite comment after every one of these circles is I think these circles are very, very useful. I think that more young people need to sit in these circles so that they can hear from the elders. And I can't wait till we go on our next cycle.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask this question as we go around. And this is for everyone, so you go the way you want to go. What are you taking away from this circle today? What did you get out of it? And do you think it's important for us to continue doing these kind of circles in the community? And that's,
I answered the last one. Yes, I do think it's important. What I got out of it, I'm gonna be egotistical and say there wasn't a whole lot that I learned about my kids that I did not know, but there was a few things that really got to me. So I did learn some things.
good.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have, especially if you have generations, to sit and really see, because a lot of times they don't really tell you what's on their mind. And well, that stopped when they was like 10. So it's like to really know, and now that they're really adults, to see, how they view and what their view of the situation is, and growing up, their opinion in Evanston. Because they grew up more, in the you're the 90s is what they do it. I don't know what they call them names.
Right.
But it was Yuppies in the 80s.
Right.
After Yuppies, I don't remember. They said X, G, Y, and all those initials. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I tried to speak my truth. A lot of things was like, you didn't say this, you didn't say that, and but I would like to, be able to view this too. It's interesting. I like to see it and maybe enjoy it with my family and see, get some reaction from them to see how they liked it and get their opinion.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think the younger generation, our children, should be involved if we can figure out a way to force them. But I think, they're starting to mature now that they have their own children. Sometimes, that's what it takes to make you realize and open up and understand that you need help. And I think this is help. I think this is help. So, I learned a lot. I learned a lot just from the things that been inside of me, But I think this is help. And I think we should be able to all come together. It's good to come together. It really is. Because you don't realize how much value, how much someone else can give you some insight on something. Because we all gotta help each other.
What I do? No, that's
Something occurred to me when I looked on the side of the truth telling. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I go out. I want to cry. Thank you so much. And what I had this thought that came to my mind was, Janet, this is the antidote to what is going on in our country. Maybe the whole country will go crazy from now to November and after. But this is love. And love is the answer. And while that all goes crazy, I hope that we've seen something that was real and honest and inclusive. And why not? I just think that God will give us something to take with us, each and every one of us, that we can impact maybe another's life or another circle's life type that can go on and fight this evil that is out there. Because love is the answer. And evil is that's what we've been seeing.
Amen. I always say this, I've had the privilege of being the only white person to sit in these circles, and that is a profound honor.
You're white?
He's out. Oh, okay. But it is it is humbling and because so I feel like I need to say that and acknowledge that I understand and I'm grateful for you trusting me and us in this process. And that it really is the answer. And I'm reminded just of the courage and the love. I mean, the love in this family is just so, I feel it in my bones. I mean, it's so powerful. Thank you you all are really like it. I mean, it was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
every circle. I've learned something, I've enjoyed it, Chris, I have to tell you, when you mentioned your mom's name, it just brought back so many memories to me of Gray and growing up over there. And as you mentioned, the Clyde and David and Lewis and Larry. I thought about Larry. I haven't thought about Larry in years. And, I'm trying to remember his wife's name. Freddie. Freddie. Yes.
Out of all the cousins, I was always considered like the youngest cousin. All my cousins were 20 years older than me.
Yeah.
25, 30 years older than me.
Absolutely. Well, it just brought back so many memories for me today in terms of just remembering that. Remembering those times. And I hadn't even thought about your house on Emerson facing that alley, and it's so true. I mean, I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. So that's a good memory for you, and a good thing for you to keep and hold on to. Okay.
Well, I'm sitting here trying to rack my brains because Eva said that McCain was your grandma. What was her name?
Oh my God.
Well, anyway, you tell me. Tammy Perrin.
Yes.
Yeah, my cousin.
Yeah, she was my best friend and still is today.
Wow.
And so I was in and out of the grandma's house all the time.
On Church Street.
Church and Hartford.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
On Church and Hartford, that's Mamie Lifford.
Yes.
Mamie Lifford.
Mamie Lifford, yes.
So,
But the
and her
McCains
daughter's
lived
an
down the
actress
street
now.
on Church Street, right?
Yeah.
Lord have
And the
mercy.
Strong lived on Leland. Why?
Yeah.
Can I think of my grandmother's name?
Too much pressure. The minute the camera's off and we're done, you're gonna remember. Just let it go and it'll come back.
This is what I got out of the information. And then you, Chris, you mentioned the parents, because Tammy was a parent, and it was somebody else you mentioned. I'm not sure, but Bacon.
The preacher Bacon.
Oh my God, that goes way back. Miss Bacon, I was a little girl, and I even lived on her farm in Michigan. Oh my Lord. But anyway, I have truly enjoyed this survey. I've gotten so much information. Oh my, I'm gonna go home and rattle my mouth off to my son. He's the only one I could talk to. But anyway, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot that was said here, but the one thing that's like on my mind is when we talk about Evanston today, we talk about it as if, like there's nothing there. But there's so much that we're standing on, you know, like we're literally standing on it. And we're like, no, there's nothing here in Evanston. All the things are wrong, you know, and it's here. You know, and just like listening to you talking, like naming families by last name, you know, like, I mean, that's community stuff.
Right.
And that's what Black Evanston is built on.
Yes.
You know, that's what it's standing on. And that's so important that to be known, you know, and to be pointed out that we're not just standing in the air here. You know, there's a lot of work that went in, and there's a lot of people who are here who can answer questions for you if you ask the right questions, you know, and those questions will be helpful to you, you know, and they're here, you know. So that's what I'm struck with. It's just like how real, you know, Evanston really is, like not like how firm, you know, it is. And there's a reason why people keep saying they don't want to leave, even with all these problems, you know, they come back. You know, that's one thing with Evanston that I noticed, like, it's like a tradition. People come back and they do work, you know, they always do, and they leave, do all kinds of amazing stuff sometimes, but they eventually come back to do stuff here. And that's another thing that's like really, it's just Evanston, you know. I often compare it to like those neighborhoods, like nicknames, you know, Boogie Down Bronx. You know what I mean? Like when people from the Bronx talk about the Bronx, they have this like that feeling, you know, like this like the realest place you've ever been in. And that's what I'm starting to feel hearing, you know, about Evanston, about what's here, you know. So I think it's incredibly important to acknowledge it. Thank you.
I did learn some things that I didn't know about Mom, Marilyn, and Chris. And, you know, having said that, you know, I just want to thank Chris and Mel for being such great friends. Because when I was ill, I had a major surgery in August. And all my family was wherever they were. But you know, they were there for me, and that was the only family I really had. And you know, I ain't got nothing but a whole bunch of love for them and their children. His oldest son is my godson, and you know, I think if we could get more young people involved in this, where we could see exactly what's on their minds, then you know, we might be able to make some progress. And ending, you know, we don't know what the future holds, but we know who holds the future.
Yes, yes.
Amen.
That's for sure.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna pass that back to Jasmine.
So thank you for coming into this circle. I feel like every circle I come into, I always learn something from each truth teller and learning the history of Evanston. I'm not from Evanston, I'm from Chicago. I came to Evanston in 7th grade, and when I first came to Evanston, I only really knew the area by Nichols because I went to Nichols. I just love these circles because when we went around and closed out the reflection, I just love how you guys connected and just how well connected everyone is. Because I just feel like when it got, even though I'm not from Evanston, but my friends are from Evanston, I could just feel a generational disconnect. And I have 2 daughters and their dads are Evanstonians, but I just feel like there's a disconnect there too. So definitely we need more of these circles and to definitely bring the young folks in, even ones younger than me. So I'm just gonna close this out. It's an inspirational quote, wall art that I did find. So I'm just gonna read it out to everyone. So it's called Never Forget. Never forget how far you have come. Everything you have gotten through, all the times you have pushed on, even when you felt like you couldn't. All the mornings you got out of bed, no matter how hard it was. All the times you wanted to give up, but you got through another day. Never forget how much strength you have learned and developed along the way.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
We have dinner, we have chicken wings and cookies. And some